Hello and welcome to Nashville Misty Podcast. I'm so glad that you have tuned in today. We have a juicy story and an even juicier deep dive with TikToker, author, and ex-vegan, ex-feminist, and ex-pharma Morgan May, the Morgan May on TikTok. And she's coming in today to share some of her, I don't want to say radical because it's kind of traditional with a modern twist, but I think she has an interesting message and is a unique voice for sure. So we're going to talk to her today and kind of pick her brain on what she thinks feminism and femininity and the feminine power within all means to her in her life. Hi, I'm Misty and I am your host today. I am a local Nashville affiliate real estate broker. I am also a momager. I manage my 2 teen sons. I have a background in entertainment and became an entrepreneur after I got frustrated with life as usual. I read The Secret in 2015 and went from a bartender to a multi-million-dollar producing real estate agent. And under that umbrella and with that entrepreneurship, I became kind of a soulpreneur, just who I am, why I'm here, what's deeper about my life journey and how I can inspire other women. So I have multiple podcasts and my life is crazy. Every day is different and I love it that way. So it's like a contour life just for me. And I've worked very hard to build where I am, and one huge piece of that is pop culture. I've been on TMZ, I've been featured in news articles and magazines. I love lifestyle, pop culture, and entertainment news, and that is what this show is dedicated to. It is 100% fun, and I cover all types of different topics, and usually we'll do some type of self-help or metaphysical type guest to just pull us out of a rut and into the next level. And with that being said, let's get started with our quote of the day. If you would like to reach out to me, I'm Nashville Misty on all socials, and my email is hello@mistyperry.com. You can also go to mistyperry.com and see my blogs. I also have a free manifestation webinar and find out other information about my other sister podcast, which is Babes Who Build. It is a metaphysical mind hack for your day. It has a lot of soul twists and how-tos, but with a soul spiritual twist. So if you like that kind of thing, and those are very short, they're like 5 to 20 minutes. So if that is your vibe, please come check me out. So for our quote of the day, I really felt inspired because of everything going on right now. I'm in Tennessee, which I'm assuming that you know that if you're listening to this, because it is Nashville Misty Podcast. And this week, we have had some really interesting news. And in honor of that news, basically the House here in Tennessee has attempted to pass bills and has presented bills that have to do with protesting and demonstration. One of those bills was to protect, and this is going to sound false, please do your research and look it up because it is 100% factual, and I really do try to stay out of any type of politics or social causes and things of that nature, because I want to remind us all that we are more alike than different and really focus on the humanity that we all share. You know, great places to eat and things to do and celebrity news and fun stuff. And that is what this podcast is for. It's to make your life interesting and to be a little break. In recent light of my home state introducing and passing laws and legislation that harms others, I am taking a little time to address and am starting a separate blog called Dear Tennessee, where I will be addressing and going over some of these laws. Now here's the big one, and this is why our quote is what it is today. The law introduced this week was to encourage people to hit protesters with their cars and run them over. Now, even saying that sounds so insane and so ludicrous, and you're thinking, yeah, right, well, go look it up. It was introduced this week. It did not die, which means it did not get voted on and die. It was actually held for next year to be reintroduced. So activists had to go down to the House, our legislation here, our Capitol. They had to go down and really protest to fight this bill, which would have protected people that wanted to run over protesters. That is murder and it is wrong. And although I don't discuss politics, I am going to start covering some of these laws just because it is the right thing to do. I'm on a lot of social media. I talk all the time. I live in my Insta stories. I talk every single day about how to make our lives better. And I do feel it is my job to educate the world as to what is happening in the southern United States. I want you to know that this is what is going on here. They are trying to pass laws so that is okay to run over and murder protesters. This is happening. It's not 1950, it's 2021. Other laws that were passed this week, one that was successfully passed was rolling back diversity training. So, and this kind of touches on Morgan May being on the show today because she is kind of anti-PC and anti-feminist and where we go in the country and the next step, and that is a huge conversation. And I don't have all the answers, but I do think information is power. Information is something we all should have a right to, so that's why I'm sharing that. Another bill, which leads right into our quote, is that in the state of Tennessee, they're voting and pushing to felonize protesters. Protesting an assembly and assembling to protest, peacefully protest, is a part of your constitutional rights. And that bill was introduced here that if anyone protests in Tennessee, that they would get a felony charge for protesting. Now, if you're listening to this and you believe whatever you believe, I think we all can agree that we don't have to agree to live peaceably and that no one should be charged with a crime for saying what they think. That is the crux of the American dream. And let's listen to what Martin Luther King had to say. So we're going to pull out MLK since we want to felonize protesters. Let's see what he had to say. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. So I hope if you're listening to this, you will do some research on Tennessee and look at exactly what this shift is happening and share that information on your social media, especially the law to run over protesters. That is murder, and the government is supposed to, at bare minimum, just like not encourage people to murder. So it's been kind of an emotional week this week in Tennessee because we have a huge influx of people coming here that want a change of life from other states, and I hope that we all get through it alive. I think that after COVID and this year of lockdown, I really thought when this lifted that we would all be closer, that we would all realize that no matter who you are, where you are, that we just went through this huge part of history that was traumatic and hard for all of us. Whether you struggled or you didn't, it was traumatizing, and that would make us better, kinder versions of who we already are. And unfortunately, I was very, very naivete on that for sure. Before the cookie crumbles, you may want to run out and get some today. My shout out of the week on sweeter news is Crumble Cookie. Yes, it's a chain, but homegirl, you will never be the same. It's CRUML, no E. DoorDash will deliver these $4 huge, almost as big as your face cookies. They change flavors constantly. The current flavors are pink velvet, chocolate cake, lemon glaze, and chilled sugar. I don't like sugar cookies, but it sounds delicious. You can check out their Twitter for pictures and more information. Also, it's an Insta-worthy place. So I went, it was about a 45-minute wait and tons of space to kind of take some really cute photos in there. It's just a really nice treat, and the over-the-top experience cookie boutique vibe. Oh my gosh. So think Starbucks, but in a cookie form if you are in the Nashville area. There's one in Mount Juliet, Brentwood, Franklin, Hendersonville, and Nashville. I suggest. And if you want to do something super special, have them delivered. That's what I'm doing this week. I had an amazing experience at the dentist office after, which is a whole nother story that I'll tell you in just a second. But I had an amazing experience. When I tell you, this dentist was like an angel, like at the hands of Jesus. And I'm going to be sending them over some crumble cookies for them to enjoy because I was so over the top. So don't forget to do sweet gestures like that. They'll make your day, they'll make your life sweeter, and you definitely won't regret it. So I'd gotten my second vaccine 2 weeks ago. I've been sick for 3 weeks. 3 weeks solid I have been sick. This past Saturday was the first day I felt good, and when I'd gotten my second vaccine, I had some type of reaction, and okay, so there's a lot of debate here where I am, but I got my vaccine because I do think you're going to have it to travel. That is why I got it. I wanted to get it over with all the way. I did not want, like I had this fall, an opportunity. This fall, I was cast in a reality show, and that was all in the making. And a situation like that, those come up really fast. In entertainment, when my kids are auditioning for Netflix and things like that, those opportunities come up quickly and you need to be prepared. So in case an opportunity came up where I had to leave the country, it would be impossible to get quickly 2 shots, let it affect you, get all cleared. That would just be a disaster. So I went ahead and got the vaccine, and I got so sick. It was like the flu and fire in my bones and my muscles. And I made it about 5 hours and thought I was all clear. And in the middle of the night, I woke up with a fever and chills. And literally, it was like an achy bone, flu on steroids experience. It was so painful. And about 4 days later, I started to have dental pain. Now, whether my immune system dropped trying to fight the virus or the vaccine, whatever, I don't know. I can't tell you because I don't know. I Googled, I cannot find anyone else that had dental issues from the second Moderna vaccine, but I did. I go into the dentist and they're like, you're in full-blown infection. My whole body was infected. So I think I was about to go into sepsis or something like that. So the infection had spread down my neck and my back and my arms and my legs. And it was extremely painful, and I had to have all this dental work done. And anyway, I was treated very well, as comfortable as I could be. So I was sick for like a week and a half from the vaccine, and then bam, I had to get this dental work done, get put on antibiotics, pain medication and a really strong like ibuprofen. So that was another week and a half. So I've been sick for about 3 weeks and watched everything on Disney Plus. Actually got to spend a lot of time at home, and I watched a lot of television. And slept a tremendous amount. But anyway, I'm glad it's all over. So I'm fully vaccinated and I'm ready to travel again. I'm ready to live life. I'm ready to just, I'm not even going to say pick back up on 2020 because I feel like I'm better than who I was going into quarantine. I've had so many shifts and I almost feel like I've elevated to a new level of who I am because I took the time to really reevaluate. I think we all kind of were forced into this mode of reevaluation. So I'm not going to say pick up where we were. What I'm going to say is I'm ready to be positive and move forward. And that's it. It's that simple. Like, this is the brand new me. I'm vaccinated. My teeth are good and I'm not in pain. So I feel overwhelmingly grateful to be alive. Just be alive. I mean, it's that, I'll be honest with you. It's that simple because my body was so infected that I literally could have died. So I am grateful to be alive. And let me tell you, when you're grateful to be alive, everything looks fun and interesting and great. You know, making chili's fun, going for a walk, looking at the sky, like, ooh, sky, you're sexy. Everything becomes really, really fun when you have this overwhelming, deep gratitude to just be on the fucking planet. Like, yeah, you want to get attitude? Okay, I don't care. You know, just this great disassociation from ego and who we are because you have the ultimate win. You're breathing. So, who else is breathing really heavy this week is Jana Kramer. Jana Kramer, actress, model, really, really cute, petite. I mean, Google her. She had a really big hit. I think it was Whiskey was the name. Country music star, lives in Nashville. She marries this NFL player, okay? And this NFL player's name is Mike Koskin. I hope I say that right. Okay, so Jana, this petite brunette, gorgeous, marries Mike Koskin. And they have this fairy tale, you know, Instagram wedding, and she's sultry and they're both millionaires. Her net is 2 and his net is 3.5. He is a former NFL player. And they meet, they marry, they fall in love, and he cheats on her. Okay, so say about 2 years into the marriage, he's cheating. They do a whole press circuit, like the Tamara show. She's like, he's got this issue, but I'm going to stay. She has a podcast called Wine. And okay, so Jana really, okay, I'm going to say a lot. So let me just start from the beginning. Why are you not singing? Why are you, she has this raspy, wonderful voice, and she's a delight to look at. I mean, she has that whole country, looks great in boots, like the whole country vibe, but for whatever reason, she's not singing. I have no idea why she's not singing, but she's not. So she has a podcast and just hangs out in stories, and she cries like all the time. I mean, she's a grown-up. She's got kids, but she's like crying all the time. And I get the TikToks or the Reels where you're kind of like shedding a tear and it's picturesque. Like, I get that. I get the heartbreak in the car, random, emotional, raw, you know, just like raw breakdown. We respect that. Social immunity. I've got too many things going on in this nation. Social immunity. Yeah, let me write that down. How do I get social immunity? In social media, we really respect a good heartfelt mental break. I mean, we do. We will love you. We will be there for you. We will support you. But it's something about a millionaire woman, grown woman on her floor of her mansion in Nashville, crying on Insta stories all the effing time. Honey, you attracted this man into your life. And let me tell you, he is so beautiful. I can't look at him. He is the shining sun of whatever solar field he came from. And guys like that, they're going to cheat. I'm sorry. I said that. I said it. He has charisma. He has the height. And he's beautiful. He is more beautiful than she is. And I would say if she's not a 10, she's a 9.5. But he's like a 50. And I'm not being catty or thirsty. Google him and look at him. He is absolutely perfect. And he has this like aura about him. And guys like that, and I'm not saying this is right or the way it should be or the way it has to be. What I'm saying is men like that, especially after they cheated once, you already know. Like, you knew before you married him, and you attracted that energy into your life. So, like, that's all you, and you stayed after that. So, Miss One Tree Hill, ain't nobody taming him, ever. And y'all can talk about therapy or what he did or what you did or, whatever. He is the type of guy, there are different types of guys and different types of girls. And when you understand psychology and types, you really get that that's what comes with it. Like, that's what comes with it. Men don't date me and then try to make me not high maintenance. We're going to have good coffee. We're going to have vacation. Like, I'm going to have that. So, it's not a negotiable. He is a high ego former NFL player who gets constant attention. In Nashville, where women outnumber men 10-1, and you think you're going to bring a steak into an arena full of lionesses and be able to tame him? No, there is no taming the beast. So either you stay with men like that and you tolerate it and you cope the best way you can, and boys will be boys. That's what they did in the 20s, 30s, 40s. My grandmother, she could not get a divorce. And you put up with it. Now, I'm not advocating that. I don't, I wouldn't, I couldn't, I haven't, but that is part of the deal. You have to understand the deal. And Jana, you understood the deal. He's already cheated on you once. You have girls in your DMs telling you, I'm sleeping with your husband. After that, you have a child with him. Don't come back in here crying from your $2 million house, especially during a pandemic. Like, what are you crying about? What exactly are you crying about? Because you chose that behavior with that outcome. You chose to stay with a man and have another child with him. And I hope the divorce is amicable. I wish them all the best. If you take them back, don't try to change them. You can't change anyone. I think that's why she's so upset, crying on Insta stories every day, laying in the floor, which I really don't. We love raw, we love real. But come on. I mean, you're not a victim. There's no victims in this world. You're not a victim. You stayed with the man that cheated. He probably cheated while you were dating. You ignored it because you thought you could change him. The tears are actually tears of frustration, because it is so frustrating to be in love with someone that is imperfect. But you are not perfect either. That's the hard truth. I stand by everything I just said. You can quote me on any of that. And if you want to see these people, Google them. That is Jana Kramer and what's his name? Mike Koskin. I think I'm saying it right. I don't know. I can't look at him. Y'all go look at them and tell me what you think. Y'all go look at them and at me on Twitter and let me know. Nashville Misty, y'all socials. The Morgan May, ex-feminist, ex-vegan, ex-pharma, period. For the past few years, I have been peeling back layers of an inauthentic self. I'm reading from themorganmay.com. And transitioning to a paradigm rooted in natural order. I offer a fresh perspective and critical eye on modern normalities. Ooh, that's a big word. That's a big word. And take others down the rabbit hole with me. This includes topics ranging from eating vegan versus carnivore to practicing a feminist versus traditional ideology, to taking mainstream versus holistic mental health approaches. Stick around if you like thinking about things a little differently. Now, I don't, and I've told Morgan, like we talk in the comments, I've told her, I do not agree with you, but I like you. And that seems to be the general consensus. I'm getting a whole Jordan Peterson, the Canadian guy. I'm getting a whole Jordan Peterson vibe off her, but in a feminine spin. And I am so excited that she is on the show with us today. She is an author, a content creator. She also has a book that I will tell you looks amazing. I'm pulling it up right now on themorganmay.com. And the book is called F-Boy Free Dating Guide. Morgan May, I'm so excited to have you on the show with us today. Say something.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, Misty.
Okay. Okay, that's perfect. I feel like I'm watching your TikToks.
Okay.
I'm such a TikTok baby that I really thought certain people are posting every 10 minutes. And then I'm like, no, there's just 5 people I'm fucking obsessed with. And you're one of those fucking people. And
oh my God, I'm so honored.
The most amazing thing about you is like people totally disagree with you, but love you. And I'm like, what kind of witchcraft is this? Like, what kind of, I mean, literally, can you just explain a little bit to my listeners about your journey in feminism and now as an ex-feminist, kind of how you got to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up on the East Coast in New Jersey. And then after college, we moved to New York as a family in high school, went to college in New York. And after college, I moved to New York City. Like if you're on the East Coast, there's kind of like an exodus of like all of the college kids after college, you leave to New York City. And so it's a very kind of, I'll use the word progressive here. I don't like terms like liberal and progressive so much, but I don't really know how else to describe it. But it's like a hustle city, really, it's a really masculine city. I mean, just the value set, everyone, is very competitive, has these incredible jobs, which is great. And I mean, this is my upbringing, like not throwing any shade to it, but
you're talking about, I just want to specify, you're talking about Manhattan, New York City area, right?
Manhattan. Yes. Yeah. And this is not placing any blame either, but it's giving a little context to like my surroundings, my environment. So, it's very part of the culture in that environment that I was living in to value more masculine traits, to be a proud feminist. There's, so many events that I went to all the time. I was just very, very much surrounded by this lifestyle, or it was just a cultural thing. It was like an undercurrent almost. And I ended up, I'd been prescribed a bunch of medication that I was on for 10 years that really disconnected me in large part from myself. So in 2017, I ended this like 11-month taper, and I got off meds and started really reconnecting to myself, and decided to move to Denver, and kind of get out of New York for a little bit. And it was in Denver that I really changed my context for the first time really ever in my adult life. I'd been on the East Coast for so long, and I'd been on medication for so long. And, so it really gave me some space to kind of discover myself, I guess. It was this big journey of self-discovery. And, over, I think it was about maybe a year and a half, after kind of moving there and reintegrating myself as a person, I started to really question a lot of things. I mean, just everywhere from holistic remedies to diets to feminism. And being outside of New York, I think helped me to do that, because there was less messaging, there was just a little bit more space. And yeah, I kept questioning, what do I really want as a woman? What does it mean for me to be as a woman? How is this diametrically opposed to messaging that I've kind of received and encouragement that I've had one way? So, over the span of a couple months, it went from questioning feminism to really reconnecting to my divinity as a woman, to, identifying how I've been dating really in a non-optimal way, that I think feminism encourages or led me to believe, was true, to now being quite outspoken against it, just because a lot of the things that I see it touts today is, I don't believe is very pro-woman at its core. So that's kind of the overall journey.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you think, Morgan, that the move um triggered your, I don't want to say revelation. I can't think of just your journey, or I think you said unpacking or unfolding or something of that nature on your website,
Mm-hmm.
themorganmay.com. Do you think that move triggered that? Because you moved, correct?
I did. I think a lot of things triggered it. I mean, first of all, I'd been prescribed a lot of medication that I didn't need for 10 years. And that like seriously changed how my mind worked. It changed the emotional connection I had to myself and to my spirituality. And to, I mean, it, it made me a completely different person. Like
So when you got off the medication, that's when everything kind of
yeah,
began, you began to see everything differently, or see
yeah.
things that you previously thought one way, everything kind of shifted for you.
Yeah. So that, I think, I mean, the real catalyst was realizing that my mom, that I wasn't crazy, and I had been living with a narcissist basically my whole life. And so like, it wasn't in me, it was an external thing. And then I was like, well, do I even need these medications? And then I got off of all these meds. And then I was like, wow, if everything I just thought was a lie, these doctors had been telling me for the past 10 years that I needed to take this medication to live a fulfilling life, and they were wrong, what else is wrong? Right. And so, if I lived my whole life thinking my mom had my best interest at heart, and that turned out to be false, I was like, well, what else is there? So I just started questioning things and looking at things very critically. And in a fair way, like, for example, I I'm hesitant to go too black and white, like, okay, either feminism is amazing or it's the devil, or it's like horrible. Like, I'm kind of uh, like a little bit more moderate in really how I believe. Like, I feel like I weigh things out fairly, but there are a couple specific issues in feminism that I do speak outrightly about pretty strongly.
Yeah, the medication piece, I 100% agree with you. I disagree with you. I'm like, I love you, and I disagree with you, Morgan, but I like to hear you talk about it. Even if
Yeah.
I just adamantly opposed to what you're saying,
Mhm.
I'm like, wow, but the way you present the information is so real and so current in your
Mm.
website, girl. That website is like, I love it.
Oh,
The
thanks for
mom,
saying that. I'm like
you're
still working on
welcome.
it. I appreciate it.
I have kids, and when I take them to the doctor,
Hmm.
the thing about your mom, that piece, and I didn't even know we had that in common.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think I was getting pictures for promo for this episode, and I was
Mhm.
on your Instagram, and I'm trying not to cry. I watched your I'm sorry. Whoa, I don't know what's happening. I watched your podcast clip about Mother's Day, and you know, I feel that doctors and our justice system are just not equipped to understand narcissism.
Mm.
And when you bring in a kid, I have kids now, and you take them into the doctor's office and they just want to numb, not get to the root
Yeah.
core. So I think the overall messaging of what you're saying is you got to the root of what was causing the problem and not just numbing out. I think we have to get past that and deal with, these core root traumas that formed all these neurological pathways that we're operating in. So if the original system is flawed and we can fix that, then yeah, you don't need the medication. You just, what you started out on an unfair board.
Oh,
And,
I completely agree.
you
I mean,
know,
I think the way that everything is constructed now, it's very symptom based. And how brilliant is that for like sustaining an entire industry? If you just treat everyone's symptoms and then they never actually heal, then you're making money for the rest of this person's life, right? I gave big pharma 10 years. Like I refilled multiple prescriptions every single month. Like I haven't even
wow.
added up how much money I must have, you know, you know, paid them, but a significant amount, and it didn't help me. It don't like I got worse and worse over time. Like in the beginning, it was like okay, I was like basically I was numb, exactly what you said, which maybe I needed because I was still living with my mom, and maybe that was the only way I was gonna survive that situation. But
Sure.
yeah, but
That was like the tool for that season. And then
exactly,
you may not need that tool. That tool could be your enemy in the next season. So it's important to know like what tools to drop and what tools to pick up, because
1000%.
that tool last season could have been survival, and in the next season it could be weaponized to kill you.
Yes, so
So
wise.
I'm really learning that. I'm like, okay, new season, switch it up.
Yeah. And you're
Like
trusting
that.
yourself in that process. That I think what you just said is that's so important. It's like, you better than a doctor does, better than any other authority, the government, like better than anyone. So when you trust yourself and trust what season it is or when it's time to change, that is like really powerful. And I think that's taken away from us a lot of the time in messaging and in these kind of power structures, because like what medicine is now, it's like, okay, me giving away my power to this doctor and trusting that my doctor knows best instead of me knowing my own body best.
Yeah,
And
and
yeah,
most of them are not specialized psychiatry. Like
yeah,
you may need something that they're not, but that's their best, like they're
yeah, for
thinking they're
sure.
helping, like that's their best. My son's general practitioner
Mm-hmm.
tried to put him on, I can't even think of what it was, but it was a really strong medication.
Mm-hmm.
And the pharmacist knew more than
Wow.
and
Yeah.
we ended up not doing it because I'm like, that doesn't even make logic. She spent 5 minutes with him. It's
Wow.
Corona. He's a teenager. Yeah, he's supposed to be moody. I mean,
Yeah.
if he wasn't moody, then there would be a problem.
Right. His
If he
hormones are fluctuating now. He's, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and then girl, we waited it out, and we did like changed up the diet, got more sleep. We did
Hmm.
behavioral changes. Within
Yeah.
two months, everything was fine. And I was like,
Oh, amazing. And could
how
you
many
imagine like all the
moms
damage? Yeah, exactly.
how many moms just take that and give that to their kid?
Well, you
It's
know what? It's a sad truth, but I see it a lot. Like it's sometimes, and you're an incredible mother, like for taking that time and but the truth is not a lot of like parents are like that. My mom put my sister on ADD, ate like Adderall basically when she was in middle school, just because she was hard to deal with. So some parents don't want to deal with their kids or don't want to take that time. And some doctors don't want to either. It's like this shortcut, this like quick and easy way that seems like a good idea at first, but we don't really talk about all the negative things that could come with it. So it's great that you guys did that. I feel like that's like the best approach personally.
Thank you. Well, big hugs and props to you for getting through Mother's Day. And
Yeah, you
obviously,
too.
obviously, you have a powerful story. And that was way down on my list, but since we're already here, we'll finish that up. Currently, and I'm only talking about this because you have posted on social media, it's
Yeah,
public.
yeah.
Are you no contact with your mom right now?
Yes, no contact for like the past 7 years.
7 years. Oh, so you're
Mhm.
not new. You're not new to the game.
No.
Okay, seven
Yeah.
years. And is that something that the entire family does, or just you personally have decided?
It's just me. Yeah, my siblings, I don't think anyone's particularly close to her, but my siblings have a relationship with her. She's divorced from my father, so they don't really have a relationship. But yeah, I think with narcissists, they can have a different relationship with each kid. Like, my
Most
mom,
definitely.
yeah, like
Golden child, black sheep,
yes,
all that.
1,000%. So I think since I was the oldest, there was definitely this like enmeshment almost that happened. And, it was just, we were very, very close. And there was just a lot of abuse, and not to say my sister got a lot of it too. And it's sometimes in crueler ways, but I think yeah, I think my sister always just wanted my mom's attention or wanted my mom to love her. And I had that, but like she also, abused me quite a bit. So I am okay, like not having that relationship. But I think my sister having like some relationship with her, even if it's not deep, kind of feeds her in a different way. So I totally respect both of my siblings and that it's not something we talk about it. I'll like check in on her sometimes, but yeah, she's I think in Iowa or Kentucky, like somewhere in the Midwest right now. And yeah, we don't chat.
So what do you remember the actual moment? Um, okay, so I remember it, but do you remember the actual moment where it went from something's definitely wrong? Because I know growing up with a
Yeah.
narcissistic parent, something's wrong, and I,
Yeah.
I can remember going to family members and trying to have a conversation, but I'm in the
Mm-hmm.
South. It's very passive aggressive. It's very
Mm-hmm.
fake. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of live in this alternate, I call it deep state South. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of live in this paradigm of unrealness. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've been here. It's just very hard to articulate how ingrained that is in family structure because you can't
Mm-hmm.
have an actual conversation. It's like talking to a cartoon. You try to bring
Mm-hmm.
it up and, well, that's just how they are. Ha ha ha. Pray for
Mm-hmm.
them. And it's like, no, this is really bad. So you kind of know something is wrong, but then
Yeah.
there's a moment where you get enlightened to, this person is a narcissist. Like, this is never going to change.
Yeah.
It was never about me and it's never going to change. Was there an actual moment where that happened for you?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry that you had a narcissistic mom, but it's also just hearing the way that you're speaking about it. It's like I can't talk about this stuff all the time with anyone because they don't really get it,
No, no,
So it's
I don't talk about my mom. Most people think
yeah,
my mom is dead. I mean, because you're like, no, you haven't talked for
it's
7 years. Girl,
yeah.
my no contact has been off and on for decades.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
my friends or people I meet, I mean, it's such a big topic with so many doors that I know
Yeah.
they would just feel bad for me. It's like, don't feel bad for me. I'm better than I've ever been, but
Oh yeah.
it's still somewhat healing to talk about it with people that get it, because
I
you're like,
completely
I
agree.
know you're not going to pity me, but you're going to get the whole picture.
It's like a relating and connecting. I feel like that's the human condition. We just like want to connect with other humans. And this
Yes.
experience is so alienating because it is like a death, but it's not. It's like a death of our choosing, which is like a mind fuck because it's like, well, it's my own mom. And then, our inner child still wants a mom. And then everyone else is like, but it's your mom. But it's like, no, there's literally, I've been the best I've ever been since excommunicating that relationship. And I don't have a choice. And yeah, but it's tough. So the moment that I realized, we had I'm from the East Coast, not the South, but my family was similar to how you're describing in that there was really no emotional like intelligence or like there was no nothing was set out right. It was very focused on looking good, appearing good for the public, for our friends and family and the community. And anytime there was any conflict, it was like swept under the rug kind of. So it was never really addressed. And my mom and I had like a tumultuous relationship, growing up. And then during the divorce, we got very close because I think she needed the kids on her side kind of. So she kind of changed her song and dance. And I thought, it was like a best friendship almost. And then she moved to India. So I looked fondly on her. I kind of forgot about how abusive and like horrible and wretched the fights were kind of growing up. And then she moved to India. So then my context was like she was out of the picture completely. But when she came back, there was 2 times that she came back and all we did was just fight. It was this like blow up fights. And the second time I was in therapy, thankfully, and this one therapist, she was behavioral focused and she helped me like a little bit with some things, but like this I think was the biggest thing that she helped me with, because up until this point I had been demonizing my father because he cheated and they got divorced, and my mom just set out a total smear campaign against him for years and years. So I had thought my father was kind of the enemy this whole time. And when she came back, it was like me and then her mom, so my grandma and my sister. And it felt as though, and this is the first time I was really aware of it felt as though she was like antagonizing this fight. Like she was like pressing my buttons and like trying to get these reactions out of me. And like, which was really bizarre. And I remember telling my therapist this because I couldn't really make sense of it. I was like, it felt like this, but I feel crazy for thinking that, because why would my mother ever do that? Because I had no idea, like just no idea. And she mentioned, she's like I ended up wanting to move on to a different therapist to try out psychodynamic. And before I left, like the last thing she said to me was like, your mother is worse than your father. And like, you should look into that relationship, basically. And
Wow.
yeah. And so I did, and I started dissecting it, and she just would validate certain feelings that I would have, about the fight. Cause with like narcissistic abuse that they get over on you because it's just you and them, right? And there's no objective person. So then they'll make you feel crazy for thinking the things that you think or feeling the way that you feel, because you just don't have anyone to like bounce it off of,
No, it's all
basically.
you. It's all you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just started doing that, basically. And I had more, I talked it out, and then I learned about narcissism. I looked up like symptoms of narcissistic daughters, specifically. And I was like, holy shit, like all my symptoms sound like trauma, this and that. And it was after that fight. So was, I just like that fight knocked me on my ass. I was like in bed for a week. I was just doing a lot of self-harm stuff and just like isolating and just so fucking depressed. Like, and I was like, how the hell this is not healthy. Like, I can't have something in my life that is triggering me to the point of like not going to work. Like, I was just like not good. Like, it just really like at my core was awful. So I didn't even like intend on going no contact. I just knew I could not interact with her again for a while. And yeah, just as I started learning more about her and the truth of the relationship and kind of connecting some dots, that ended up being like the last time that we really spoke.
Yeah, and that's really ironic because one of my big triggers, and I did see my mom after this, but there was a fight that was
Mm-hmm.
so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I probably would need more therapy to really unpack it. But
Mm-hmm.
what it felt like is I had been destroyed, like, and not on the
Yeah.
outside, but like my soul, like
Yeah.
part of my soul or my spirit had been so damaged. And I remember equating it to loving my mom was trying to hug a porcupine, because
Wow.
every
Yeah.
time I would open my arms and try to love her,
Mm-hmm.
I would walk away just shred, just gutted. And
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
remember sitting in the car, I was a teenager, and remember, I'm going to people, talking to people, but I'm not getting any information. So,
Mm-hmm.
you start thinking for yourself because no one can kind of unpack it for you. I remember
Yeah.
sitting in the car, and it's such a simple analogy, but I just thought, I can't love my mom anymore because I can't hug a porcupine. Like, I
Yeah.
can't, I'm trying to do the impossible, and
Yeah.
I keep getting demolished. And
Yeah.
then
Wow.
beginning this process of healing and boundaries, and it sets you free. Education on narcissism
Yeah.
so many people would be set free because you're trying to get the resolve with the offender, and that will never
Hmm.
happen. They're never
Yeah.
going to say ever, oh, you know
Hmm.
what? I have unmet, needs as a child and I became the villain. Hi.
Right.
But I look like the hero. So they're never going to have that conversation. And then to just step outside of that to educated people. And like you said, Googling about narcissism. And I feel like the world is really waking up to it. I really feel that. And it's beautiful.
I think so too. Yeah, what that analogy is like so powerful and so spot on. And it's something that I realized about myself really recently was that I was very closed off from like loving because I
Yes.
learned that it's dangerous to love because when I do, I get very hurt and betrayed, right?
Hmm.
And so I
Exactly.
think especially like this daughters of narcissistic moms, like I'd always say I had like a broken heart, like I've attracted very unavailable partners and
Mm.
it's hard for me to kind of like let people in. It's like a closed offness that I'd been carrying with me for a long time. But I think when we understand that, like, at least for me, a part of my journey, like, in recent months has been like, it's safe to love my mom now because she's not in my life, like I can love her from afar. She cannot hurt me anymore. She's not going to elicit because it is you're totally spot like this, like it kills your spirit. That's what narcissistic moms do. They like kill your self-esteem and your spirit and they just yeah, it's like you're done. Like I was done. I was in my room for just a week, like I not moving, not really eat, like not I was like, yeah, it was like a death of sorts or like severe injury.
Yeah. And I feel like
Yeah.
people with the strength like me and you do because we have all these other people in our lives that really love
Hmm.
us from a pure solid love, that we
Hmm.
really have to speak up because there are girls that don't have that. Like, and everything
Yeah.
I said, that's not even bad compared to what other women are going through. So it's
Oh, for
really
sure.
important that those of us who can articulate it, I mean,
Yes.
we're way down the road because we can even have this conversation. There's people right now like punching themselves in the face thinking
Yeah.
what's wrong with me. There's people still there. So it's just
Yeah.
really important to have these conversations, and we need to do another one that's just this.
Yes. I feel like we could
Just
talk
this.
for so long.
So we talk
Yeah.
forever. But anyway, you made it through Mother's Day. Congrats to you, and I loved your
Thank you.
post. And now on to happier topics.
Yes.
Feminism.
Yes.
So just really quickly, okay, do
Mhm.
you like anti-feminist or do you like ex-feminist, and why?
So, okay, it was really difficult for me initially to build my platform because I hate all these stupid labels and like, but I feel like we as humans we like categorizing things, right? And it's easy to communicate something, at least where I stand or what I believe in with things like that. So frankly, I don't love either of them, but like I don't think that
Okay,
there's like a word that I've
that's
identified
an answer.
for.
That is an answer.
Yeah.
So when you present this information, you do so in such an articulate way. What do you think is the downfall of those that call themselves feminist or the feminist movement? What is the major downfall?
I think today what I see is that feminism and people who identify as feminists will say that they're feminists because they believe in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes, which is what the ideology touts. But it's kind of like a gaslight. I mean, if we could put it in narcissistic terms, in my opinion, it's like, yeah, it says that it's about this, but then once you're in it and you're practicing and like I've read, I mean, for 2 years, especially, I just devoured feminist literature and podcasts and saw Gloria Steinem speak. And I was just like really into it. I was like, and I kind of do that. I follow these things to the end. Like, I became a vegan and I was practicing the whole foods, I follow ideologies like to the very end or like as deep as I can go. And the truth that I found is that it's really not just about that. It's about a lot of it is comparing women in the context of men. And a lot of it is this like encouragement of like a victim based mentality and like I would walk around feeling very oppressed and not wanting to bring a daughter into this world because it was so hard for us. And that's very much like a byproduct of the ideology. It's like emotional manipulation, kind of. And so ultimately, I believe it's, an ideology that touts one thing and practices another. And at the root of all of that, I think it's just not pro-woman. Like, I think as women, we have so much incredible value that should never be compared to anything having to do with men at all. Like, men don't have anything that I would want to compare myself to, just like in my inherent value and what my nature is as a woman. So I think ultimately the entire thing is just not pro-woman. It is consistently making women more into men than not, and stripping us away of our natural gifts and our natural femininity, and like encouraging things that are very woman, more woman oriented than male oriented.
Okay, so let's debate so I'm sure you can tell I'm very feminine. I'm a girl's girl. I am, I'm very over the top, and I don't care how people perceive me. I'm not trying to look ugly so I can be pro-woman. I can be whatever I want. And I'm very into that feminine energy. And I feel like there has been an attack on femininity.
Yes.
And
Totally.
me being a progressive, and I post about it in my stories because it's such a duality for me to say, as a progressive, femininity is under attack. I mean, it is under
Absolutely.
attack. But with that being said, I totally get that. And I'm not backing down. I'm not trying to be a man. I don't want to be a man. We're different, and that's beautiful, and that's okay. But at the same time, I don't want to roll back or mute the conversation about misogyny, because I do believe that we're kind of talking about two things simultaneously. I do believe that feminism has been excellent in exposing misogyny. I think of the Fox News movie, what those anchors were going through. Things like that are so powerful. Is it a victim story? Maybe, but I feel like in order for me to say that feminism is gaslighty, I would also be giving up my power to say and would have to agree that misogyny is okay, and it's 100% not. So that's where I fall on it.
Well, I feel like oftentimes the word feminist, people are using it as being synonymous with being pro-woman. And I call myself pro-woman, but I can't identify with the feminist ideology. So yes, while I agree that any like true victim, right, of any crime or anything should, have a platform and a leg to stand on and seek justice and attain it. I would just argue that that's more of a pro-woman like angle, I guess, rather than.
So you do agree that misogyny does happen?
I think misogyny happens, but I also think misandry is definitely happening in a major way in the culture right now.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
That misandry, like the hatred
What
of
is that?
men, it's just the hatred of men. So if misogyny is the hatred of women, mi, mi, I'm like stuttering today. The opposite would be the hatred of men.
I
So I
did not
think
know that was a word. I know about toxic
misandry.
man.
Yeah.
Really? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, that's
Yeah.
why I love following you, because I learn things.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a word. I understand the whole toxic male movement. I totally get that, but I didn't know it had a word.
Well, it's just women hating men. Like if you look, there's so many TikTok trends right now of like, I hate men or hate all men or this and that. It's like that's very obviously male hating. And I know
Yes.
that misogyny can like look a little bit different. It's not, men don't say outright we hate women. It's more in like actions and treatment. So sometimes, although I do think that feminists will call things misogyny, like I get accuse that I have internalized misogyny all the time when that's not the case. So I think this word is thrown around a lot. I think how you used it, if there's really men like not treating women in a good way, like perpetrating crimes, that would be a more appropriate use of that word. But just like with instances like that, I think that there are instances of man hating too. And I think the feminist movement touts equality, but it really only focuses on one side of it. And there's a lot of men's issues that aren't really brought to light. And it's focused just one way. And it's for a certain storyline, I believe, to kind of make women feel disempowered and oppressed and victims.
So in a perfect world, Morgan, what would the male feminine and feminine roles look like to you?
I mean, I think that there's a lot of power in tradition. I mean, just when I look at how we're wired, I mean, honestly, like, I think nature is hierarchical, right? And women are life bringers, and men can't do that. So in the hierarchy of nature, women would really be at the apex. And not to say I feel like I'm above men in any way, but it's like we're the thing that brings forth life. We are the conduit, between the spiritual, the divine realm, and the material world. And so being protected and provided for and honored in that way, I think is really, really crucial. And I think when we start doing that for ourselves, and not to say we shouldn't have our own bags and things like that, I totally believe in that, and being okay on your own so that you're never controlled by anyone, but really allowing the masculine who wants to so desperately to like serve us in that way. And when we look at hormones, like a man's testosterone level raises when he gives to a woman, and conversely a woman's estrogen level raises, and this creates a bond. This tells us that like it is very natural for a man to give to a woman and to like serve her in this way. So I think really honoring that like natural biology and just that natural structure feels good to me. I think brings a lot of harmony, from what I've seen, in the few instances I've seen it. But yeah, I think part of, again, this feminist movement is like women wanting to be like, it was always that like men had dominion over over the public, right? The light, society, everything out in the open. And women had dominion over the dark, over like the domestic sphere, behind closed doors kind of. And I think since there's really been a push to bring women more into the workplace, we're competing with men in more masculine, quote unquote, territories. And it can screw up this natural order of things, because now we're no longer like being receptive, being those receivers, and so yeah, I think it can cause some disorder.
I think that's so beautiful. And I think that a lot of people are in danger of you mesmerizing them with your words.
Oh no.
Right out of feminism, because it makes so much sense. And I've said for years, I'm older than you, but I've worked for 3 decades, and I started work as a young teenager. I've been the trophy wife, I've been the stay-at-home mom, I've been the working single mom. So I feel like I really have actually lived 4 years in each of these roles. And I think that gives me a lot of insight. And I really got it. I was working 4 jobs because our governor passed a bill where men could just get rid of their child support. So I never.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that's horrible.
Welcome to the deep state South.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that awful?
That's horrible. Yeah.
It's horrible. Yeah. So I never received anything. And I was working, I think 4 jobs, sitting in a car, and I'm like, what are women doing?
Yeah.
And this is the sentence that really resonated with me. Women have freed themselves into slavery.
Yes. When you look at data,
freed ourselves into a system where we are now functioning as the man and the woman.
Yeah.
And we still have to be sexy, but not too sexy. I mean, we're in effing crazy land. And that's where we are.
This is exact. Yeah. Like now, not, yes, exactly. Not only, and I talk about this, not only are we competing with men, but we still have the same responsibilities as we had when we came into the world as women. We're still expected to look a certain way, to be sexy, to do everything now, to be the
Right,
mom
everything.
and the breadwinner. Yeah. And it's like, how is that? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not equal. Like at the end of the day, women,
No.
in my opinion, and again, I don't want anyone to get my words twisted. I'm not saying that women should not make their own, money and support themselves, or like, have their own bag. Like I do believe it's okay to depend on the right man, not a man that's going to control you. But like, I'm not touting that women just should stop working like tomorrow and go into to like, homelessness or anything, like not touting that. But I am just offering that, like, because now this is the norm, it's actually not equal. We're actually way farther away from quote unquote equality than we were before this whole mess.
Yeah,
So,
no, you're 100% right. And
yeah,
the number one way for a woman to acquire wealth in America is marriage. And people don't want to
yeah,
hear, they don't want to hear that. That
yeah.
is the number one way women move up in society. It's a
Wow.
fast, easy, quick way to move up. And, I'm sure I'll hear something about that and I don't care. But that's the gospel truth because I'm a little more to the left on the misogyny issue because I do believe there's a fundamental structure that is oppressive to women who try to work. So while we're working twice as much, we're not in those power positions as much. So we're doing lower paying jobs that are harder.
Hmm.
They're more on your stress and your mindset. They're just harder. I mean, an executive position is much different than
Hmm.
the head of HR, which you'll find most women will end up in a corporation. They'll say, well, we have this many women leaders, but what they're leading is like HR or
Right.
events. And those positions are very draining. Whereas
Hmm.
the men are in a more executive level positioning and they're playing golf. They have two mistresses.
Hmm.
They own an island. They have access to the company jet. So while women have acquired a lot of things, it's kind of like we're in a hamster wheel. Like, yes, we've acquired, but not to the level of power that we can rest and have time to properly care for our children. So, I became
Yeah.
I became an entrepreneur. That was my answer. I was
Yes.
just like, I'm not doing this anymore. This is craziness. So, every woman has to do what works for her, but I just want women to know that you can be smart enough, qualified enough, and still not get that position. And that's what kind of keeps me in the feminist movement.
Well, I think what you're saying is actually so important. And I think that what you just said is not said. I mean, like for example, I thought I was going to like, follow in my father's footsteps and get into finance. I like spent 1 year working at this firm and I was like, hell no, I don't care enough to put up with all of this bullshit. Like no
Yes.
one told me, no one said, and the truth is I don't even care enough to fight for a seat at the table. Like, I don't care. You can
Me
have it.
too.
You know what I mean? Like, I just, and some women, like there was right, there's a female portfolio manager there and she was badass in her career and good for her. And maybe that's her calling and whatever. And like, that's amazing for her. I just don't care. And I was like, not told that it was like, there were all of these things. And also what we see a lot is like women, and this is the case with this woman portfolio manager as well, women who do end up fighting for a seat at that table and fighting for this and this and this and do gain power in their career in some respect, that they end up sacrificing so much in their love lives. We see this happen so often with
Yes.
older women, with very high earning women, because the truth is women will always look for equal or greater earners to themselves or status to themselves. And when you are earning at a certain level, those men don't always want, this power couple thing,
No,
or,
absolutely
they
not.
want something totally different. So, and to the feminine, relationship is so important. So it's like, okay, we're fighting for all this power. What happens if in this one utopia that I don't believe is ever going to exist or ever really should exist, all women and men are totally equal and they're 50% female CEOs with the jets and the whatever, is it ever really going to happen? It's not going to happen because it's not in line with nature. Like it's not what meant, like it's detrimental to relationship at the end of the day. And I think it's detrimental to like this just overall order. And I just don't think like the reason why women aren't in these positions necessarily is because that's not what our greatest value is, like intrinsically, naturally, right? Like whether we like it or not. And I'm not saying that all women should just be baby, machines and whatever, but like our greatest value, our greatest, thing that we can bring into this world is not in the boardroom. It's raising a family and raising like the next generation. And that's just the truth. Like, raising really good, healthy children, that's so important. And there's not emphasis on it. Like right now, there's not that woman at home. Like this nuclear family has been so destroyed at this point by feminism. There's no one at home really nurturing the family unit, nurturing the children and raising children without trauma, without attachment disorders, because both parents are working. And I know that this is really like, inflammatory, and this is not to shame anyone or any family by any means. But I do think it's an important conversation to have, particularly for young women to just think about, because I never thought about it. I didn't even think about family life until I was like 29, 30, and I was like, oh, I actually don't really even want to, like, I don't care about any of this. Where's my family? I woke up one day, I was like, where, like, I want that. I actually do want that. And where is it? It was like, my body was like looking for it because it expected me to have that almost. So yeah, I just think on a micro level, women individually, and on a macro level, it can just be, and not to say we should, everyone should have equal opportunity. Absolutely. But I think that there should also be a conversation about, all of the options and values. And, I think the cultural tells us value, to have certain values, like to work and be good workers, to bring in more tax dollars, basically. But having the other conversation about family and, really what that means to have two working parents, if you can have the option to not.
I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't think households should have two working parents. I think that's horrible.
Mhm.
I don't care who stays home. If you can afford to hire a live-in, someone has to stay home. Someone should be at the house all the time. And that's firmly what I was a latchkey kid. So
Mhm.
I grew up in the 80s. So they literally would take a pink string and put a key on it. Like I was 4 years old getting myself
Wow.
home. And I remember
Wow.
I'd
Wow.
been down, and I did this
Yeah.
for Morgan for 12 years. There was no one home when I got home from school.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
I
that's so
wasn't,
sad,
no, well, it was
heartbreaking. Yeah.
okay. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I watched Oprah. Oprah raised me. So, hey, Oprah. Because she came on like
Not a
right when
bad surrogate mom.
no, she wasn't. She came on at 4 and it was right when the bus got there. So I remember instinctively thinking, this is like not the right way to raise kids. Like I just, as a 5-year-old, I'm like, and it's, and like with most things, it sounds sadder than it actually was, because I was
Right.
oh girl, I was eating fruit roll-ups. Like it was, but
That's
because
amazing.
we had money because everyone's working all the time.
Yeah.
But I just remember as a little girl, because I never got the cookies, like the cookies and milk. I never got that. And I know
Right.
that sounds so cliche because your dad's like buying you a car. Like, why do you need cookies? But I really wanted
Yes.
that experience of someone to listen to my day. And I would just sit there and eat like saltine crackers and dill pickles and watch Oprah. And that was my routine. And I can remember thinking, when I have children, they are going to have the cookies. They
Wow.
are
Yeah.
I'm going to be available, whether they want
Yeah.
to talk or not. I'm going to be home after school every single day.
Wow.
I'm going to be that person that goes to the game and does this and does that, because my mom didn't come to not one sporting event my entire life, not one.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I really missed, and I had an amazing father. But then when I became a mother, actually did that. I'm like, I'm making this work, so I'm really outspoken, obviously. So I would just tell my boss, and everyone would get mad everywhere I worked, Morgan, because I made my own schedule. And they're like, so I was literally
That's amazing.
I was a bartender making 6 figures at the Nashville airport, waiting on celebrities. And we have a lot of stars here. And I had full benefits, 40 hours a week, and I left at 2 every day.
That's amazing. That's
And
epic. Wow.
I didn't work nights because I knew that was the priority, because
Right.
if you mess up your relationships,
Yeah.
and I don't care if you're male or female, I really, on a deep level, and that's not to say that that person will ever appreciate it or it's going to be okay. That person can be a crackhead. I mean, everyone has freedom of not free speech, but a free will. But you have to show up to be there, because if you don't have human connection and relationships, you are poor. You
A
don't have
thousand
anything.
percent.
You don't have
Yes.
anything. So yeah, I mean, right now I've got white stiletto nails, and I took 6 trips last
Amazing.
year, and I love having things,
Yeah.
but your number one priority for men or women has to be relationship. And I think that's why social media is so huge, because as a culture, we are starving to death. We are
Yes.
literally, these children are starving. I have kids that come over here, their parents, are CEOs, and they
Hmm.
are the blinged out people on social media with the 2-parent households. They're
Hmm.
over here because no one will listen to them. But
Yeah.
in our house, we talk, we
Yeah.
listen. We may not have your $3 million house,
Hmm.
but over here we're having a good time. Like, we're having a so with all that being said, you're 100% right. In our culture, I think your voice, I don't know. I have a feeling that you're going to blow up. I just feel your voice. Although I don't agree with it all of it, but your voice rings so true right now. Like, we need this message.
Thank you so much. Well, what you just said, I really want to just piggyback off of what you just said because it's so important and it ties into what you said in the beginning. There is a war on femininity. Like it's being like muted out and canceled out and erased over. And one of the gifts of femininity is nurturing and is relationship. Like, even in the nuclear family, the husband would go out and work all day. The wife would be the social coordinator, right? And manage all the relationships for the family and nurture the children. And so these cookie, like that metaphor that you used is so beautiful. That to me is like nurture, right? That's like cooking. It's warm, it's homey, it's mom, like, it's maternal and feminine and nurturing, and how you talk openly in your home, like all of this is feminine. Relationships, feminine. Love, it's like, inspired by this feminine energy. And I think the more, in my opinion, and how I live my life, the more we can nurture that and sink into that, especially as women, and encourage that and build space for that, even if that means leaving your place of work at 2 p.m. every day. That's how you like fight against that war, is by cultivating it in your own life and with your own family and in your own home. I think it's so insightful what you're saying and how
Yeah.
you've kind of moved
And
in your life. Yeah.
yeah, I just kind of make my own rules. And, I believe in manifesting and law of attraction. And,
Yes.
I do believe it can manifest your ideal life, but I have definitely made a lot of people mad over the years because I never work Saturdays. I
Hmm.
never work nights. And as my kids are older now, there gets to be that balance, which you'll see when, if you choose to have kids, you'll see,
Hmm.
I think you're probably going to have a lot. Um,
I hope so.
but you'll see as they get older, then it's more appropriate. It's more
Right.
appropriate that, oh my gosh, okay, they're naturally, have their own social circle, so I can do more.
Right.
But when they're small, they really do need that. And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to guilt shame anyone. And I don't think I have 2 degrees in education, but I don't think it matters.
Hmm.
Scientifically, I think the research is just so one person, and it doesn't even matter who it is, which is so
Mm.
crazy, that
Interesting. Okay.
one person nurtures that child is developmentally on track.
Wow. Yeah, I have read some data about two working households and daycare that isn't very favorable, but yeah, it's good to hear that. I guess it doesn't matter either. So it just needs that like they just need that like nurturing
That
nurturing
one
component. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like a person in the home. So it has to be one caregiver that's with that child, as much as possible. It can be a grandparent, but But anyway, you are an absolute delight to talk to. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to play a game before you go, but can you tell people how to follow you or reach you so they
Yes.
can?
Thank you so much, Misty. So my website is www.themorganmay.com. You can find me on TikTok, where I'm most active, at the Morgan May, Instagram with the same handle.
Fantastic. Now we're going to play Instagram roulette, and I'm
Okay.
going to scroll. I'm going to randomly scroll through your Instagram and stop on a picture,
Okay.
and I can't see it. I'm going to describe it to
Okay.
you, and then I want you to tell the listeners about the
Okay.
photo. Oh, wow. Okay. This is a really old photo. It's from 2015, and it's a picture of a person's face with a block over their lips and one eye and dots all over their face.
Oh, what does the caption say?
No
No caption.
caption. Oh, it's at a gallery, David
Oh,
Swinger
Zerwinger. Yeah.
Gallery.
I'm looking. It's from so long ago. Let's see, 2015. Um,
It's
wow,
an art exhibit.
girl. Yeah, that's down there. Let's see. Oh, oh, okay. This I think was actually okay. So the only thing I can think that this is either from an art festival or just a gallery. In the city. I used to just walk around on Saturdays usually and go check out all the new exhibits and new installations. And I feel like this was actually there was like a big festival, art festival, like kind of like Art Basel that was in the city. So I just probably thought it was cool and decided to post it. This was way before like any of my platform or talking about this stuff, but
So
yeah,
it was
that's the
just a day,
backstory.
a beautiful day in the city, wandering around New York
Yes.
City. Okay, and is that a parrot in the background?
A parrot.
I hear like a squeaking.
Oh, yeah. It's forever. Yeah, I'm in Mexico right now, and there's a lot of wildlife. I'm in a city, but I have a lot of trees around my building, so a
Oh, so
lot
those
of
are
birds.
birds. Okay, beautiful.
Yes.
Well, you have an amazing day, and I will see you on TikTok.
You too, Misty. Thanks so
Okay.
much again.
The ever beautiful Morgan May, and when I tell you, she is so cute. She has a very natural, earthy vibe. So go check out her Instagram, go check out her TikTok, and her content is riveting. It's refreshing. I don't always agree with her, but that's kind of what makes her special. Just that, like, ruby in the rough. Like, it's very interesting to listen to her challenge our new social constructs. We're always growing and we're always changing, but challenging what we think we know, I love it. I love it. Because even if I don't agree with it, you made me think. So thank you, Morgan, for making all of us think today. And you guys definitely go give her some love and support. For our beauty tip of the week, these skincare routines have gotten out of hand. I mean, who's in charge? Like, who? Basically, I look like a Karen. So, like, who do I talk to in here? Who do I talk to? The skincare regimens are crackhead level at this point. Skincare is the new makeup, and people are going all out insane on the level of skincare. Now, if you heard my beauty tip from last week, I talked about scientifically, okay, y'all are not gonna like me for this, but scientifically, there are only three things that you can do that will make dramatic change in your skin. And one was dermatology. That's where you actually go into a clinic and get either red laser, microdermabrasion. I've had all these red. Well, it is red vampire facial, which they take your plasma, they pull the gold plasma out of that, they inject it back into your skin. That's my favorite thing. I've had everything done. The vampire facial is my favorite because it's natural and it just gives like, just like the glow. You'll love it. And then the last thing is the hydration and hydrochloric acid. So if you scientists take all these things that we try, they put them in a clinic, and then actual scientists who don't have an agenda or funding or things like that, they perform and see, okay, this thing works, this thing doesn't. And with the scientific research, any moisture you put on your skin works. And the trend that we see is being absolutely obsessed with your skincare, and I don't know if you guys know, y'all just look kind of oily. Like, I know you're going for dewy. I get it. But I would just recommend, like, everyone just, like, streamlining everything that you do. And I'm seeing some flawless skin. I'm seeing some gorgeous skin. I'm seeing next level beauty. But sometimes those 15 steps are a lot. So right now in the beauty tip portion, we're going to break down how to get powerful results with minimal time and organization. So here's a few things that I've been doing, and these are sensational and juicy, and I hope you love them. I have this, it's kind of like an altar thing outside of my shower. And I have the big standing shower in my bathroom. And so when I open the door to get out, it's like an altar table, and it has jewelry on it, things of that nature. Then I also put a gold tray, and I bought some really cute opaque lotion dispensers and holders. And they're very bubble bath-ish. And they were empty when I bought them. And then I put a watermelon toner. It's a really good toner in one. And they actually have glass caps on them. And they're heavy. They're so cute. And then the second one I filled with lotion. And then my new thing, because I like simple, I like fast. I get up at about 5 and take kids to school. And I make my kids coffees. I make them iced coffee every morning, and I make them breakfast, which I meal prep on Sunday, and I reheat their breakfast. So, and then my animals, when I wake up, it's circus. So it needs to be effective, it needs to be fast, and I need to be out the door, like fast, bam, bam. So my new thing are these spray products. And just like with my shampoos, when I started to go to pumps only and buy pumps that I refill, which is so bougie, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to shake a bottle again. If you grew up middle class, upper middle class, or whatever, or maybe everyone does this, you like shake the bottle to get the shampoo out. And now I'm just like luxuriously pumping it, and I love that. So this is kind of that transition for me. I'm going to things that spray. So I bought all these different spray products. So on the tray, I get out of the shower, I lotion in the shower, then I throw the toner on and the spray. And I'll actually read some of the ingredients to you. The ingredients are red poppy oil, hemp oil, and argan oil. It's paraben free. And I throw on the toner, then I do the spray. Now, at bedtime, I have a drawer in my bedroom that when I either am coming out of the bathroom from getting ready because it's all connected, or I'm about to go to bed, irregardless of where I am in my skincare routine, I have a beauty drawer in my bedroom. So it's not something where, oh, I have to go into the bathroom. If I come in and I'm grabbing, I don't know, socks, I can stop, pull the drawer open, and just do some skincare. So I'm going to read some of those to you. I have another one that's a spray, and it's a vitamin C spray, but it also has a little bit of, it's like extra hydrating ingredients to give you that glow. For bedtime, I have a hydrochloric acid, sea lavender, and chamomile sleep mask. And just so you know, they call night creams sleep masks now. Yeah, I had to find that out. And then if I'm going out, I have a Radiant Complexion Water Lily Glow Face Cream that has Sanji mushrooms, natural white lily, and vitamin C. And this one, the one you throw on before you go out, actually has a toner in it as well. I have an under eye cream, and I have a facial brightener. So the facial brightener, I pretty much use that on days I'm going out, and I'm organizing them all. That's the noise. So that is how to make it easy. Buy the sprays, put it right outside of your shower. You can still have the 12-step in-depth routine. You know, you want the nice bottles lined up for the photo op in the bathroom. I get all that. You can still have that, but if you are a mom or you're on the go, these are ways to implement change relatively easily that are still extremely effective. And I'm also only buying skincare based BB creams, beauty creams, foundation, or full coverage. Right now, I'm only buying ones that have hydrochloric acid in them, or brighteners like vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B, because that's just double duty for my time, you know, and then your primer that also has ingredients. So when you implement these changes, it's so easy, and I'm surprised buying the spray how often I'm using the spray. I'm using them all the time. I'll go grab a sip of water and I'll be like, okay, I've got it here. I'm going to spray it. Like, I go to the bathroom. I brush my teeth. It's fun. It's fun. It makes you feel refreshed and alive. And I swear, I'm going to get every skincare in spray. Like, I want toner in spray. I want eye cream in spray. Like, I'm only doing spray. Like, everything is spray all day. That's all I'm doing. But you think about if I'm spraying this like every time I go in my restroom, which is 100% factual, how much more am I hydrating my skin? So before, and I didn't have spray, I would do like toner, primer when I got ready with a BB cream with something in it, and then nighttime. So, and that's only 2 times a day. But now, I mean, I don't know how much of this stuff I'm using. I have no idea, but I'm kind of addicted to it. So I'm going to put one in the car, and that is my beauty tip of the day. And I think that's a darn good one to end on. I'm Nashville Misty on all socials. Talking to you guys literally makes my day. Please comment and rate this podcast. It means so much to me. And if you send me a screenshot at hello@mistyperry.com that you commented, I will send you a gift card. How about that? So let me know how I did. Rate and review this podcast. Follow me on all socials, Nashville Misty. If you would like to be on the show or have a complaint or a comment, hello@mistyperry.com. I'm not perfect. I'm here to learn. So teach me your ways. Teach me all your ways. I love you guys so much, and have an amazing day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.